In our latest episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, that's Season 1, Episode 4, we have Momento Mori after this. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in Momento Mori we have the highlight of two of the crew members. First, La'an Noonien Singh, and then Chief Engineer Hammer. Now, we've already established Hammer as visually impaired, but certainly not blind. He would not be described as that. He has other senses that make him, he would call, superior to everyone who is sighted. So, in the same way that Geordi could sense electromagnetic spectrum through his visor, Hammer is able to deal with much of this through other sensory perception. At any rate, they find themselves in a very good battle type of plot this week with a meeting up with the Gorn. The Gorn we first saw in, and only once in the original series, in Kirk's encounter, and that was a lizard-like creature who looked very much like a guy in a rubber suit. And so they went the horror movie way of not really ever showing you the enemy in this particular one. You see their ships, but even they are of a design that's not easily redrawn from memory, and they don't show the aliens at all. However, we do get a good bit of backstory on just what their motives are, what their fighting techniques are, and we see this through the eyes of La'an, whose family was killed by the Gorn in her childhood, and getting memories back on how to fight them is part of the plot of this episode. Meantime, the Enterprise suffers damage, and it leaves Uhura and Hammer in engineering, in which they are trying to fix a piece of equipment that it will overheat and blow up the ship if they're not careful. It's one of those things, we don't really know what it does except that it blows up if you don't keep it cool enough. And so during the attack, Hammer is injured. He does not have use of his hands, and therefore Uhura has to be his hands in order to reset this piece of equipment. And so the relationship between Uhura and Hammer is situated well in this episode. Also, we learned something about Hammer. While some people think that he's Andorian, he is actually an Enar, which is kind of a subgroup of Andorians, is my understanding. And their people are pacifists. The only reason that he's with Starfleet is that he believes that he has something to contribute through his ability to fix things. He would not fight in battle, but certainly would keep things fixed so other people could. So that was his brand of pacifism. Also, kind of a different view about danger and death than most humans have, in that it is something that you can take some peace and some pride in having fulfilled your purpose in life. Therefore, losing it isn't that bad a deal. He tries to communicate that to Uhura, who isn't quite certain what she set out to accomplish or whether she's anywhere close to accomplishing it. Obviously, we know that later she will show herself to be quite important to the crew in later years. At any rate, we find the episode beginning on Remembrance Day. It is a Starfleet tradition in which they will wear a button that will name a ship with crewmates that had lost their lives. And we find at the beginning that La'an is not wearing hers because she's just kind of running away from the fact that her parents were killed by the Gorn. And it's not until a pretty important scene with Spock that she tries to remember this, and Spock cautions that sometimes remembering things is not as good as is not as therapeutic as you might think. At any rate, we have a number of interesting little things they've never tried before. For instance, they are in very similar to Wrath of Khan, where they hide in a nebula. In this case, they hide in a gas giant. And this gas giant is being sucked into a black hole. And so the science on this is pretty good. The density of this gaseous entity, this dwarf star, really is what it is, that's very close to a gas giant, is something that will increase the pressure as you get closer to the center of it. And of course, you get caught in that and drug into the black hole, you're in worse trouble. So there's plenty of tension here, and they film it like an old submarine movie. Complete with sonar sounds and even a joking remark by the helm saying "dive, dive, dive," and this is a very tension-filled. You hear the deck plates groaning as they circle down into this. They're not able to use their sensors, their shields, anything of that sort to fire a torpedo. They have to actually just literally drop it, kind of like in the old World War II pictures where they just, open up the hatch and drop the bomb. And the back and forth between this captain and the Gorn is very similar to Kirk's first encounter with the Romulans, in which they are running silent and trying to figure out what the other commander is doing. And in so many situations, the other side has the jump on them. Reminds me a lot of Master and Commander, if you've ever seen that film, where the captain is trying to figure out what the other captain is going to do, but has a great admiration for his tactics. So it's a very involved episode, and not just a way of opening up characterizations, but a good, tense, action-filled episode, which has you don't notice that, of course, it's not going to destroy the ship. You're not going to lose any of the main characters, but at the same time, the tension is still there. The anticipation is still there. How they're going to get out of it, which is good writing, is there. So it's a well-written episode. I recommend it to you. Momento Mori, the Strange New World episode of the week. I'd like to know what you think about it. Please put it in the comments, and of course subscribe if you have not done so already. We'd like to add you to our list of fellow nerds. It doesn't cost you anything, doesn't provide any obligation to go to the club meetings or pay dues or anything like that. So why not do that? That'll help out our channel, and we'd appreciate it. So until next time, when we will see what they do in episode 5, when it's going to be another Spock-centered episode and a Ponfar episode on top of that, don't go far.